Hello everyone and welcome to or back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be reviewing the Orbit Black Hole playing cards. As you guys will obviously notice, you can see my hand and there is a hole in the deck of cards. Orbit cards are by Orbit Brown or Chris Brown. His actual name is Chris Brown. And this is, to my knowledge, the first deck with a hole in it. It's awfully strange and interesting to me. On the top of the deck you'll see a 23, which is an important number to him. I'm not actually exactly sure why. And then on the back, you'll see the Orbit logo. When you open the deck, Orbit Black Hole V1, it says in the top. So maybe there might be a second one. And you will see two jokers that are being sucked into a black hole. And you'll see that with all the cards. All of them are being sucked into a black hole. You see the 23 again. Obviously, right, the appeal of this deck, I don't know if that's the correct word, but the thing that grabs most people's attention is that there are holes throughout the whole deck, right? You see the spade court cards getting sucked into the center, and you will notice, if this is something you're paying attention to, that this is actually not a normal or a standard bicycle pip, an indice. It is actually aristocrat deck, I believe. If that's not the name, I will pop it up right here. My mind's actually kind of blanking, but you see all of them getting sucked into the black hole, just like so. All of these cards, if in a Orbit deck, which you actually might see me review another Orbit deck quite soon, these court cards are custom. There is a custom coloration on this one, but they're usually a person in his life or him or something, right? So you see that throughout the whole deck, right? The hearts, the ace of hearts. As you can see, on all of the hearts there are no center pips, of course, because there's a hole there. A double backer that is also a hole, and the extra 8 of spades. I don't have too many Orbit decks, but I believe that the 8 of spades is a card that you will always get as an extra. I'm not positive, but there is a group of magicians called the Group 52, and they all have a tattoo of a card, and I think that his card is the 8 of spades, which would make sense to me. Chris Ramsay, in his deck, always adds an extra 4 of spades, and I believe that's his card. But as far as handling goes, it handles quite nicely. It does handle slightly differently, however, of course, because there is structural integrity kind of missing. I believe this is printed by Cardamundi, because I don't believe the United States Playing Card Company does this anymore. Sorry, get that out of the way. Don't know if anyone is looking at that, but I don't think they do that yet. Cardamundi and Bicycle or United States Playing Card Company are owned by the same people, but as far as handling, it handles well, fans, and does everything normally. Of course, I don't think this is a deck of cards that you would, say, bring to a game night and start dealing out, right? I don't think that's a game night type of deck, per se. But I do think it is an interesting deck, definitely for the collectors and people that find decks of cards interesting. I actually have a deck of cards that is half the size of a normal deck of cards, so it's always interesting kind of looking at decks of cards that are not the normal cards. I don't want my camera to die. It looks like it might, so I'll keep this pretty short. But yeah, it's a really interesting deck. Oh, this is the back design. I forgot about that. Basically, as a little bit of a backstory, Orbit decks always focus around this circle in the center, but there's always, color, and there's paper in between this. But this is like, it's a black hole, right? You see the galaxy around it. It is a one-way back design, I'm now seeing, and that this is here, but it's not here. So if you were to reverse one of these cards, you could hypothetically see it, right? But again, I don't think this is a deck of cards where that really matters, because I don't think you're going to go out, I don't think when someone goes out to perform magic, they're going to pull this deck of cards out and say, all right, pick a card, any card. And if they do, people are definitely not going to be focusing on the back design as far as the design, but they will be focusing on that there is a hole in every single card. As far as handling, it handles nicely. As I said, there's a little bit of tenderness that needs to be used because there is a hole in all of them, as well as when you square these cards up, some of the corners can get caught in some of the holes of the other cards. So it's definitely not the most practical deck, but it is a very interesting deck, to say the least. But yeah, that was the Orbit Black Hole Playing Cards V2. I don't know if there's going to be a second version coming out anytime soon, but this is the Orbit deck, Black Hole, by Chris Brown and Orbit Brown. Orbitworld.us is what it says. Designed by Daniel Schneider, who's a well-known designer for decks of cards, who's designed stuff for Daniel Madison. Anyway, this is this deck, and it's a very unique deck to me, right? You can hold it like this, and there's a hole straight through the center. There's a hole through the center of the deck, hole through the center of the box, and it's kind of a surreal thing when you pick up a deck of cards and there's a thing missing, there's a hole missing, there's material that's no longer there. For someone like me who has collected decks of cards, has over 200 decks of cards at this point, this is the only deck I can say that has a hole through the middle. I have one other deck of cards that is a magic trick that has a hole somewhere on the deck, but it is not straight through the middle like this, and it is not uniform. But yeah, so this is one of the most unique decks of cards I have. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.